Hi everyone, welcome to Property Matrix. I'm Hanson, Director at Culloden Finance and your host for today. At Property Matrix, our goal is very simple: to get experts from across the industry, be it property, finance and wealth, to help everyday Australians make better financial decisions. Whether you're buying your first house, investing, refinancing or building an investment portfolio, I'm sure we'll be able to add something or some tips for you throughout that journey. Also, I'd like to apologize if I'm not very camera ready. This is something new and I'm hoping to add some value to everyone out there. Thank you so much. Let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome back to episode 2 at Property Matrix. Today we are joined by John from Clearview Conveyancing, who runs a very successful conveyancing company, and he's going to share some insights with us to the everyday property buyers. John, welcome.
Thank you, Hanson, for inviting me today, and thank you everyone for listening to the episode 2. So just a bit about myself. So I'm running a conveyancing firm in Springvale, and welcome everyone to go to my office for just a free consultation. And it's always good for people to see conveyancer before they sign a contract, Nowadays, if anyone just want to go for auction and they come back and say, hey, John, I have the problem. I want to back out a contract. Can you give me some advice? It may be too late, but just come, we may find a solution for you guys.
Amazing. Thanks, John. And that was actually going to be my first question itself. I'll ask it anyways because we want this to be clipped. What does a conveyancer actually do? Because when I ask my customers, hey, have you seen a conveyancer? They're like, oh, sorry, who? So what does a conveyancer actually do? What's your role in the whole property buying journey?
Okay, make it an easier way. Even I find really hard to find good definition in English. What a conveyancer? People will know who a lawyer is, who a solicitor or barrister is. But conveyancer, who is conveyancer? So we actually are legal representative for people who want to buy or sell properties. So basically, you can call us as the lawyer in bracket, focusing only in properties.
Okay.
Yeah, we just focus on property law.
Perfect, thanks. And when should somebody contact a conveyancer? At what time frame of the home buying journey should somebody reach out to a conveyancer?
Okay, I strongly suggest people to come and see a conveyancer way before they sign a contract of sale. Because if you come to see us, say, John, I decided a contract. Now I heard that I need to have this and that condition, like subject to finance or subject to building and pest inspection.
Yep.
Should I go back and speak to the agent and add that condition? Maybe too late.
Yep.
Not just for the condition you want to add in, because there are a lot of contract risks that you need to have a legal advice before you sign any contract.
Thanks. And so what I take from this is you are the legal representative. You are the gap in the middle of the contract from the customer to the vendor's conveyancer. So there's two conveyancers who meet. You'll look after the settlement, the contract review and everything, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Perfect, thanks. So we've asked when should somebody see a conveyancer. Now I want to ask you, what's the biggest mistakes you've seen somebody, a first home buyer especially, make who've not reached out to you initially, but they've had an issue and they've come to you, and how can they avoid these mistakes?
Oh, very good question. Let's say first home buyer, right?
Yep.
When you firstly buy the property, normally you'll be under you're thinking of the price.
Yep.
This is my first home. Should I spend too much, too low? Why should I buy, But they forget one important thing, the contract risk. Because, the price is just the game between the agent and the buyer.
Yep.
So the agent know how much the vendor want to sell for. But they try to increase the price. And they don't want to discuss anything for the risk in the contract. In the contract, some contracts can be 40 pages. Some contract can be 1,000 pages if you buy off the plan contract. And if you just go straight, hey, I just want to win this offer, I really like this property, but you don't care what is in the document that you're going to sign legally with the vendor, then when you already have a binding agreement with them, you cannot come back, hey, I think this is not fair for me, I want to have a reduction in the price. It's maybe too late for you already.
Yep.
So it's better for the first home buyer. Yes, the price is important, but you also need to have a legal advice before you start discussing the price with the agent.
Amazing. Thanks. So what I take from that, John, is don't just read the first 5 pages of the contract.
Yeah.
I think me as a mortgage broker, I just look at the first 5, purchase price, settlement date. We do skim past the rest. But I think the rest is important, and that is for you. And that's where you come in and advise the customer where there could be some issues with the body corporate, for example. And then that's where you advise, the cost is too much. Don't just focus on the cost. Where you're paying $500, but the body corporate might be $8,000, for example. So that's where you can be as a negotiator as well for the customers, if I'm not wrong, right?
Yeah. In the contract, there will be a section called special conditions. Special conditions. If I'm representing for the vendors, that's what I'm going to discuss with the vendor. Say, hey, tell me about your property. Is there anything special that you want me to put in the contract to actually limit the buyer?
Okay.
I'm not doing that for anything illegally. But I think because I'm acting for the vendor, I try to put them in the good side. That means if I'm representing the buyer, I need to tell the buyer, hey, I need to read the special conditions to see if there's anything that put the vendors have more advantage than you have. Normally the vendor will have advantage because they're selling stuff, you buy the stuff, so that actually the red flag that I normally would tell the client, say, hey, they selling the property as is.
Yep.
What it means, whatever condition the property, you have to accept it.
Yep.
The kitchen stove may have a problem, the kitchen range hood may have a problem.
Yep.
You don't check that, you sign the contract, then during the final inspection, you complain. You say, it doesn't work, I cannot buy that product.
Yep.
And from the beginning, we need to ensure that we need to put up some condition against this special condition. You can ask them to remove it, or we can put something to give our clients some protection.
Awesome. And then that's the main goal of this whole podcast and us working together. So how do we protect our customers and make sure they're making a good financial decision? Okay, next we believe big out here to break the jargon words. What is the Section 32?
Okay, make it in a simple way. That is the description of the property. Just like you go to Coles and you buy a product, you want to know what is the ingredient in the products.
Yep.
Is there anything that I need to be aware of? That's Section 32 of a vendor statement. A vendor, when selling the property, they need to disclose to the buyers all the legal matters of their property.
Yep.
This is how much the council rate is, this is how much the water rate is. This property, I'm not the owner, for example, so I'm selling on behalf of my grandfather and I have the power of attorney to do that. Or this property have the body corp, and you know what, in terms of the body corp, it's a nightmare. So the property may have some construction which is still undergoing.
Okay.
And there may be some big bills coming back for the future buyers.
Yep.
They have to put in the contract. They cannot ignore that.
Yep.
So, and if we do not read the Section 32 of the vendor statement, and we tell the buyers, say, in the description of the contract, this is the issues. You want to buy it? You have to accept this issue. That's it.
No, amazing. Thanks, John. I think some really key insights shared out there and onto how important it is to reach out to a legal representative, a conveyancer that is John. There could be something as simple as is, as is. The property is as is. It could have a broken window, broken beam, half the house broken. So it's really important. Now, thanks, John, for sharing those key insights. Moving on, how does a finance specialist and a conveyancer work together to help a customer?
Okay, so a finance specialist will tell the customers that this is your borrowing capacity. This is how much you can afford. And they will keep you updated, say, for example, all the recent change in the budget tax, what's going to affect your borrowing capacity. And this may be the future, the price that you can purchase. Then you speak to the conveyancer. We just like the specialist in our area. If they go to see the GP sent them to see the specialist.
Yep.
You're a specialist in the finance industry, you tell them this is how much you can borrow. But when the only thing you cannot control is the valuation of the property, the issue of the properties. At the end of the day, we all support the client to buy the property for the best interest.
Exactly.
They can get the finance to buy the property, but then they're not happy with the condition of the property. And then you're not happy either. You want to make the client happy.
100%.
But you cannot advise them, hey, this property, in terms of a legal matter, everything is all right, because it's out of your territory.
100%.
That's why you say, hey, speak to John Conveyancer, and that's where I'm jumping. That's my play to role. I tell the client, okay, with this property, you need to be aware of, say, the body corporate. Are you willing to pay this much fee? If you don't want to, then you go look for another property. Or for this property, I'm thinking that there's an issue with the easement.
Yep.
Say they see a lot of investors when looking for a property, they see a big backyard, and then off the top of my head, I think, oh, this is good for future units. And discuss with the finance specialist, say, oh, you can borrow, you can buy that property, but you're not sure if that's actually the plan they can do in the future.
100%.
When I check the section 32, I say, oh, I don't think there's some restriction. Maybe the council in that area only allow you to be one unit. What can you do? Then you cannot do anything at the backyard. Or if they don't have any restriction, but they have the easements, just cross right at the backyard. What can you do? You cannot build a unit over the easement.
So the whole plan is gone.
Yeah, the whole plan is gone. That's all. When I review a section 32 on contract for the client, I ask them what you want to do with this property.
Yep.
You want to do the extension? You want to build a bungalow in the back? Or simply you want to knock down and build 2 units?
Exactly.
So you tell me the plan first. There's something is not written in the section 32. Sometimes we have to call the council. Yep. We have even to speak to the town planning department of the council and find out the answer. And come back to the client and say, your plan doesn't work. Just go look for the property, Okay. That's how we support the client.
Exactly. Now it's crazy. So what I've taken from that is we are the team. So we are the team on the customer side, making sure the customer gets the house. Obviously, I'll look after the finance, make sure you get the loan. John out here will look after the contract to make sure the customer is legally fine when they do make that purchase. So it's like assemble Avengers, and we are the support characters for the customer.
Yeah. So normally the customer, what I can say, they see the agent. Then agent say, do you have finance ready yet? The next question they're gonna ask, do you have conveyancer yet?
Yep.
They do have all network themselves.
Yes.
But normally the client gonna thinking, say, oh, this agent is working for the vendors.
Yes.
Will the finance specialist or the conveyancer advise?
Yes.
So we work with agents. We love to have referral network from the agent, but we work all independently.
Yep.
So I look after the clients, you look after the clients, we all support them to get properties. Yeah.
100%. No, perfect. No, thanks, John. Really insightful tips. I think I'll have one last question, and then we can move on to some back and forth as well. What is your advice to, especially first home buyers? I love first home buyers. We all love somebody getting into the property market, getting the keys. What is your advice for first home buyers for the remaining of 2026, given spring will be coming in 3 to 4 months, and the market will heat up at that time? What is your advice to first home buyers, given all these changes as well?
Okay, so firstly, they still have some government support.
Yep.
Like you have the 5%
government scheme. Yes.
Yep. That's actually, I think, a very good support, and
100% agree.
Very good innovation from the government to have first home buyers. Then that means the first home buyer, you guys can just do the loan, get the government scheme to buy the property. But when it comes to looking for the property, I have some important tips. We talk about the section 32, but
Yep.
for me, review section 32, all conveyancer can do.
Yep.
But they forget one important thing. When the clients go to inspect any property, I strongly suggest you guys to spend that 15 minutes or 30 minutes with the agents usefully. Okay, you go straight to the kitchen and just do the video recording of the kitchen appliances for me. Open all the stoves, open the kitchen oven, the kitchen range hood, test the hot water, cool water. If you have more time, go to each room and see if the cooling or heating system working as well. You can talk over the phone with the video recording, and after that you can walk throughout the property, try to capture the floor, the wall, because that is the clients need to do the video recording of the whole house, so I can have the evidence of the current status of the property. It's to support my arguments during the final inspection. If my clients came to do the inspection and they found out there's some unexpected damages on the floor, or the stove doesn't working, they say, oh, it used to work before. So what can you do?
Exactly.
So you need to show the evidence. Hey, before I saw all those things working, And I put a contract that the appliances must work in properly. But now they do not. So I need to have the evidence. So my tip for the first home buyer, not in just 2026, for all the future years, do the video recordings, ensuring that you capture the status of the property. Then you keep it for yourself. And if there's any issue, that's a good evidence for you to show to your conveyancer.
No, amazing. Yeah, that's something I've heard for the first time, and it's honestly, it's a very, very good tip. Take a video recording of a property you really, really like, and if you're going to put an offer for it, you're sure you're going to put an offer, take a video of the property. It will not only help you revisit the property when you're home, check everything out, but also when you go for the final inspection, you can see if anything's wrong with it. You can go back to John and say, John, this was not working. Can you please, this is the before and after proof, please review it. Then John can go back to the vendor and fight your case for you. Any questions for me, John? Let's open up the floor.
Okay, you just asked me about the price for the first home buyer when they buy the property in 2026. So we are all aware that there are significant change in the budget taxes.
Yep.
So what's your advice there?
I think my advice is just like yours and the previous episode we had as well, is get into the market, right? Government has this, when the budget did come out, there's a lot of negative talk about the budget, this, that, negative gearing, CGT, but there was a lot of benefits from that for the first home buyers, which people are missing out. So what the government is trying to do is stop the investors, which is, it's sad, but it's trying to put first home buyers front in the queue or push them up the queue. And hopefully that works, right? That's what the government is doing, and hopefully that actually does work, because I really want to see a lot more first home buyers get into the market. So yeah, the 5% scheme, and also for a single mother, a single parent, a single father, there's a 2% scheme where you only need a 2% deposit. So there's a lot of options out there for somebody looking to buy. What we are seeing as well is a bit of uptake in units, customers buying units or apartments, where if you're paying $500, $600 in rent and you're standing in a queue of 40 people waiting to do an inspection, you're better off buying an apartment. So we're seeing a lot of inquiries come in for that as well. Yeah, so I think to my first home buyers, reach out to your professionals, assemble your team. It's never too late. Reach out to your mortgage broker, get your borrowing capacity in line, reach out to a conveyancer, understand a bit of what a contract is, everything else, start going for inspections, speak to real estate agents, understand how the property market is working, and then we are here to help you. And it's getting into the market sooner is better than later.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, thanks. Anything else, John?
I just want to know have you come across this scenario? So I have a customer, very lovely lady, and she told me that she have a pre-approval from a big bank.
Okay.
She went for the auction, and we reviewed the contract. We ensure everything is okay. Even she did a building in Pest before the auction as well. So it's very serious about that purchase. Then she won. Yeah, good enough. During this time, everyone's nervous whether or not they can buy a property. But the bank came back and said no to her loan.
Okay.
So what are the reasons?
So we're not going to name the bank, but can you tell us which color it was? Was it yellow, blue, red? I'm joking.
Yeah, okay.
I'm joking.
The yellow and the red. It's very famous. We're
not going to do that. I love yellow.
Okay.
No, we're not going to do that. Now, I think there's a lot of reasons, and that's why an auction. So whenever I have a customer who's going to an auction, I'm very, very clear with them. I set the expectations out straight. We need to do as much as research about this property before you go, because at an auction, there is no subjective finance. If you bought that property, it is yours if you're the highest bidder. So we want to make sure we've done enough research around that property in terms of a property report, the recent sales in the area, is the amount we're going to pay for the property stacking up, because there could be few reasons for the decline. One, the valuations come back too low. For example, the property went for $1 million and the actual market value is 700,000. So the customer's loan to value ratio doesn't stack up. That could be a reason. There could be something wrong with the property, which the customer wasn't aware. They did not go to a conveyancer and check those details. Or for example, the assessment. A lot of banks don't do fully assessed pre-approvals, and that is something that is very, very important. A lot of banks just give out a system approval which is put in by, so if you enter customers' details, if I say customers only 200,000, perfect. A system approval is not a fully assessed approval.
Yeah.
So when we go back to the assessor when the customers bought it, and then the assessor might come back and say, sorry, we can only use half the income. Servicing's gone. So it's very, very important to be clear with your mortgage broker. Is my pre-approval a fully assessed pre-approval, or is it just a pre-approval? A lot of banks do offer fully assessed pre-approvals. Check with your broker. That's something that is very, very important. And that's one part from the bank where it can be declined. Second is if there's an issue with the property.
Yeah, so you're right, because there's a lot of terminology the bank they put in the pre-approval, and when people hold something on their hand, they think, oh, this is actually what we need to buy the property. And a lot of agents also say, hey, did you have the pre-approval letter yet? And they say, oh, I have this pre-approval letter. But it doesn't mean that you 100% will get that property. You did mention something related to the property. I can give maybe one example. Say, if the property they have a town planning or development approval.
Yep.
Some banks, I don't think they like it.
Yep.
Because if they know that this property, you only buy the property, you're going to knock down very soon to build 3-4 units in that, then the pre-approval letter that you got might not be valid anymore.
100%.
Yeah, so that's very important that I think you need to be upfront with the specialist, like your financier, that, oh, I want to do this and that with the property. You give me the loan option and tell the conveyancer, hey, can you please check if this property has any issue? I can tell my clients, hey, there is town planning. You come back and speak to your broker if that's suitable for your loan.
Exactly, amazing. Now, thanks, and that's why you need a team around you. Like John mentioned earlier, if you go to a bank and you get a pre-approval for a purchase, and then you bought the property and you actually want to make 2 houses out there, and you go back to the bank saying, I have the pre-approval for 1 million, I want to make 2 houses for 400 each. Not in this market, but yeah, you want to do that. Bank might come back and say, sorry, you have a approval for a purchase, not a construction. So a lot of terminologies. I recommend reading your pre-approval when you do get it. Speak to your broker before going to an auction. I generally tell my customers I'm always available during the auction. If it's local, I prefer going with them sometimes, or even staying on my phone so they can give me a call straight away if they have any questions. So it's really important to have a team around you, an accountant, conveyancer, broker. Have your team assembled when you're going to make this property purchase, because it is one of the biggest decisions anybody would make in their life, right, John? It's like $500,000, 1 million worth of lending, and you got to pay that back over 10, 20, 30 years. It is one of the biggest decisions you're going to make. Yeah.
So when people, they go to the supermarket, they look at the description of the products very carefully, and look at the price. It's $2, $3, something. Now you buy a product with hundreds of thousands, then that's something that you need even to pay more attention and make a very careful decision.
100%. Yeah. And speaking of my own experience, when I bought my first property, I had all the experience in the world, but it's an emotional decision. So I made sure I had my lender and my conveyancer advise me. I was not listening to myself. I'm like, I know, but it was buying a property is an emotional decision. You're going to live in that. You're planning your family. You're planning the furniture. You need to have a team behind you to give you that right advice. Perfect. Now, thanks, John. Anything else? Any last words to our viewers?
Okay, I really appreciate you inviting me for this episode. So we may have something surprising for all the audiences listen to this episode today, coming from the 1st of July.
1st of July, yes. We need to clip this. 1st of July, we're going to have an amazing promotion. Thanks to Clearview Conveyancing and John, we're going to have a tie-up together, and we're going to roll this out very soon. So please stay tuned. It's going to help all the first-home buyers, the new purchasers, everybody. We're gonna make sure when you do need a conveyancer, we're bringing you some value in the current cost of living crisis. We want to make sure we're giving something back to our viewers. Thanks.
Thank you, man.